All right. Okay. All right, this is a test. Hey, and welcome to the next video in our SEO series. This one will cover links. Now, we've already looked at keywords. We've looked at some general overview of technical issues and things that you should be aware of on the site. Now we're going to talk about the things that I guess a lot of people really focus on when it comes to SEO, and that's links or backlinks. So this will follow the usual format. What we're going to do is go into a little bit the theory behind links. What is a good link? What's a backlink compared to an external link? All these sorts of things, so that you can be aware of what the wording is, and so you can be clear on the things when you talk to other people. Because what's going to happen when you're getting engage in essentially link building, which is what I think everybody's waiting for to hear about, is that you're going to have all these terms thrown at you, and you want to be very clear when you're talking to people about what it is that you want, what it is you expect, and what those things really need to look like. So let's jump into it here, and I'll move my video around a little bit just to make sure that I'm not in the way of anything. So here's what's coming up. We're going to look at internal versus external links, quantity versus quality of links, what's a good link, anchor text, buying links versus earned links. And then we'll look at some link building strategies for you so that we can actually go into how you may acquire links, which is really what's going to push you forward in SEO. I mean, it has to go with everything else that we do, but we need to be able to earn links, and we need to figure out how to be able to do that scalably, right? Because it takes a number of links per page. It could take anywhere between 3 links to 500 links to rank a page at number 1. So you need to figure out how to make this move forward. What are the strategies that you can use to try and leverage yourself into a good position on Google from the link building side of things? So let me just minimize myself here. So first off, we've got internal links versus external links. So what's an internal link? So internal links are links on your website to other pages on your website. That's an internal link. So it's your site to your site. That's it. So anything in your menu, links from one of your blogs to a landing page, or one of your landing pages to your blog, link to your contacts page, all that sort of stuff is an internal link. An external link is different in that it's a link from your blog or your website to another external website. So you're sending a link to somebody else, right? That's what an external link is. So from you to somebody else. So for example, if Growth University links to singularity.digital, then that's an external link. Moving on, I've just put up this little table here. I think this is a better way for most people to visualize it, just to be clear on the naming system of all this. So where the link is, you see the name, where the link is, and where the link goes to. So internal, your site to a different page on your website, and external is your website to somebody else's website, and a backlink is from someone else's website back to your website. And that's what we're looking for, right? So a lot of people get very confused and like, hey, can you do the internal backlinks on a site and stuff like that? And it doesn't mean much. It's really a confusion of terms, and people can, and it leads to misunderstandings in SEO, and it leads to misunderstandings and missed results and opportunities for you if you aren't aware of what this stuff actually means, right? So moving on. So now we know what the difference is between a backlink, an internal link, and an external link. So all backlinks are external links from somebody else's website, right? And all internal links are just internal links. So how do we get links? That's the question, right? So there's 2 main ways to get them, and it's earn them or buy them, right? So Google has stated very clearly for many years now that buying links is a no-no for them, right? And if you're caught, you'll be penalized. You've probably heard all sorts of talks around updates that came out, panda and penguin and hummingbirds and all sorts of animal-related names. And then now they're into naming them themselves, which is a completely different thing and not as exciting. And so basically what happened is I guess around about 10 or so years ago, maybe a little bit less, Google's biggest update, one of its biggest updates was around improving the quality of links, improving how they see links, right? And making sure that the sites that they were rewarding in search were sites that were getting links in a way that basically was natural according to them, right? And that sort of means that you weren't buying them from somebody who had just owned and put up like 150 websites using some code, some kind of automation, and then was just sending links to you. It sounded like a terrible thing at the time, and at the time it really was for a lot of businesses, because what it did was it basically took SEO from the more links you get, the better you are, and no matter what the other scenario is, to a more level playing field where you don't need the most links to win a Google first result now. And what was happening at the time is people were just buying links and getting all sorts of crappy links, and all the results were not relevant to what you wanted. People with pages on you might be trying to buy Nike shoes or something like that, and you were getting somebody who lived in South Africa or something like that, trying to sell you shoes to and you living in Boston, and you're trying to find local Boston based shops to buy from. So it was a really bad scenario in that the way links used to work was really terrible. And to this day, Google still says that you shouldn't be buying links at all. So I want you to take that on. I want you to really think about that and really take that on as sort of like, I guess, gospel, until you know when to push the line. Because the fact of the reality is that earning links is better, and it's what you should do. And generally that means creating resources that people will automatically link to, sharing things on social media and letting the buzz sort of speak for itself and let those links come in naturally. Earning links is better, and what Google recommends. It's also, to use a little bit of French, I guess, it's complete bullshit. It's not something that is viable. And I think that there's a disconnect between Google and real businesses, in that you may be able to, I feel like a lot of people at Google who set this up have never built or ranked a website themselves. Because even strictly, I guess, under the way that Google considers a lot of things, doing outreach and asking for links, and then if someone says yes, but it'll cost me some time to do it, so I want $50 for it, $100 or something, then technically you've bought a link and it's against their terms of service. Now, the fact of the matter is that's going to be the main way that you get links if you're going to be doing outreach, and they pretty much to this day say that's something you shouldn't be doing. So to summarize, what does this all mean? Buying links is a no-no. So basically, don't be going to these sites like Upwork or Fiverr or any of these forums and stuff and buying links off people unless you really, really know what you're doing. You really, really accept the risks that you could go to zero or get penalized, because otherwise you can really hurt your website. So make sure or you have somebody that you completely trust who knows what they're doing to do this for you. Otherwise, the risk is too great. Earning links is better, and for our purposes, earning is really setting up those resources, those blogs on your site, those pages that people will over time link to. But also we bucket into earning this outreach, and that's what we're going to be focusing on later in the video. So, as I touched on a little bit there before, for Google, quality versus quantity is the real question. And in the past, quantity was the winner. If you had 1,000 links and the next guy had 500, you beat him every time. If you just needed to have the most links for Google to be able to give you the number one spot. Now, when that algorithm change came around about, I don't think it was 10 years ago. I think it was closer to like 6 or 8. But when that came through, it really tried to push Google and its algorithm further towards the quality of the link that you get is going to be much more important than the quantity that you get. And if you do some research using the Ahrefs tool we've looked at a little bit now already, you're going to see that for some keywords, there are a number of results, a number of people ranking for some keywords that have no links to the web page that's ranking in the first page of Google, right? And that's an ideal scenario for many of us, because what that means is essentially that you're able to build up a strength around a topic, around something that and can talk about, and you don't need to be investing in all these links and things all the time. So from a link perspective, though, you do want to try to publish content or have some content and get it links. Even if you think that you can rank it without, it's better to have it than not have it. But you want to have quality links. Quality is much greater to Google than quantity, and fewer high quality links are generally going to be treated as more important than a lot of low quality links. And that's pretty much just how it's worked for years now, and how it's going to continue to work, in my opinion. The way that Google's making changes towards using things like schema markup to understand content better, all of these changes in its algorithm to understand how sentences are put together and what topical relevance is, more and more closely pushing us towards, if you are a better result for what people want generally when they search that, you are going to be number one regardless of links. But if you have links, you may be able to cross the line there. If you're maybe the second best result, but you've got some really high quality links, you could be above the person who might have better content. But because you've got these sort of links being, I guess, links are sort of considered like votes, right? Votes from other websites that your content is useful. So if you have these sort of votes, I guess, that are helping your second best content, you can outrank people who have better content than you. So moving on. So what's a quality link is really the logical question from that. If we need quality over quantity, and we know that Google cares about these high quality links, and we know that we can't buy them, we have to be earning them. What defines quality? So I gave you some criteria for when you're doing keyword research on what that is, and how to follow that, and I guess how to search and find a good keyword. So I wanted to give you some broad criteria here around what's a quality for a link. So generally, a quality link has this 4 criteria, in that it's relevant to your niche or industry, it has a good domain authority or domain rank, it has relevant anchor text, and is considered do follow. So let's jump into this a little bit more here. Let's check the next slide. Yep, cool. So first of all, relevancy makes a ton of sense, right? If you talk about a certain topic, maybe that is hiring solutions, maybe you're talking about accounting, maybe you're talking about AI. If you're talking about these sorts of things, you should be getting links from other sources that talk about these sorts of things. And it doesn't mean solely that, but similar things, right? So that means that if I have a blog on, say, how to make robots or something like that, how to make robots, and it's focused on the hardware, what kind of motors do I need and things like that. And I'm linking to someone who talks a lot about writing code for robotics and stuff like that, but it's all software based and they don't talk hardware. Very connected, right? The same goes for things around hiring solutions or something like that. If I'm talking about how to improve your resume or something like that from a hiring perspective, from someone wanting to be hired, and I'm getting links from sites that are talking about how to find quality and relevant candidates, so I'm one side of the market talking about this, and then the other side of the market is linking to me. That's very beneficial. That's saying, okay, you're broadly both talking about this hiring topic. That's a relevant link in Google's eyes, right? So what next? Has a good DA and DR in your SEO tool of choice. So we'll go into this more in the next slide of what a good DA or DR is, but I just want to be clear on on these metrics is DA and DR. So domain authority and or domain rank. These are metrics that are made up by these tools to emulate the way that we think that Google sees these things. Google used to use an old version of these sorts of things for ranking links. And they've said many times that they don't. There's a lot of suspicion that they still do to some degree. But regardless, this is a really useful tool for you to visualize the amount of benefit you're going to get from a link, or the amount of strength your website personally has when you give out links, or in Google in general, right? So a good domain authority or domain rank is really just a guesstimate based on the tool that you use. Now, none of these tools, I don't think there's any demonstrable way to show that one tool has a better algorithm than the other. If you go with any of the main bigger tools, that being SEMrush, Moz, Ahrefs, there's a couple of other sort of, come-uppers that are in their mix there that I think have some really good ways of calculating this as well. You're going to be more or less on the right track. What you need to do when you do this and look for a good DADR is make sure that you look with the same tool, measure apples with apples, because not all of these tools use the same way to measure DA or DR, this authority, this rank of a link, how good a link is. They don't measure it all the same way. When you do measure it, you just want to be consistent in whatever tool you use. So number 3 has relevant anchor text, and we'll go into this more of what relevant anchor text means. But anchor text essentially for a link is whatever's outlined in blue or underlined in blue is the anchor text of a link, right? So that can be click here, or it can be a full sentence, etc. And we'll go into what's better than what in a minute. And then consider do follow. So you may not have heard about this, but there are different types of links that you can have. You can give links different type of directives for Google. And essentially a do follow link means that you're telling a link, or whoever is linking is telling Google that when you see this link, you can follow this link to that site, and you can follow, I'm happy to pass value or give attribution to that site, give them some kind of vote essentially. A no follow is the opposite, where you say, hey, we're sending the link here, but we don't particularly want to associate any of our strength to that link. And usually that might be if you're linking to something where you're not 100% sure on its, maybe you're not 100% sure on how, how authoritative that source is. A lot of people use this because they think that passing on link value through do follows devalues your website. That's just not true. You can have every link on your site to other websites being do follows and vice versa. That's fine. And there's a couple other directives here, but the main thing you need to remember is you want this to be considered do follow and not a no follow by Google. So that's what a quality link is going to be for you from an SEO point of view. So relevant, good DADR, relevant anchor text, and the link is do follow, in that you are going to get some benefit. Google's going to associate that website and its content with your website and your content, and basically link you to in that way. So good DA and DR. So this is a very, very broad outline of what a good DA/DR is. And this is mostly based on me working with Ahrefs in this scenario, and not for other tools. So as I said, this may vary by tool, but this is some very broad buckets for you to be able to visualize what a good DADR is. So bad or weak DADR is anything between 0 and 20. And these are usually brand new websites or local websites. So it could be your local painter, it could be your local, corner store website, or whatever it is. That's generally what most of these sites are going to be. And these can be helpful to you in the relevancy side of things, but in terms of a DADR, they're not fantastic. So I'm not saying you can't go after some links like this, but you definitely don't want to have a link profile where it's only these links, because it's going to look like spam generally to Google if you have a ton of these links and nothing in these higher ranges. So a good DADR, or I'd say maybe average might be a better way to put it, is 20 to 40. So you're looking for a DA of 20 or to 40. Anywhere between that range is going to be what most sites who have done some SEO, got some links, they have a few rankings, whether that's just locally or internationally or nationally. But there's some work put in there, especially when you crawl closer towards the 40. My experience is that most local websites who have tried a little bit of SEO, but it's not a focus for them, roughly hover around 30-ish, right? And that could be your local law firm that really has done that, but gets most of their clients through referrals. That could be a good example, right? So that's a fine area to get in. You've got some great DA websites as well, and this is a 40 to 60 range. Generally, that's going to be probably a lot of people like yourself for a large part of the time. You're really actively working on SEO over a long period of time. You've actually made some inroads in getting links, etc. Or you've gone really viral probably for a large period of time and you've got a lot of traction. And generally what will happen is one will lead to the other or vice versa, right? And then the best DADR is anything over 60. Anything over 60 is generally sites that have really put a lot of time and effort into improving their SEO and DA and DR and getting links. And that's links from all sorts of areas, to get to a DA of 60 or a DR of 60 for your specific website. You're going to have links from all of these different areas, right? Great, good, bad, or weak links. You can have all of these different kinds of links in your portfolio, and that's fine. It's not generally just an average, but you're going to have, you're probably generally going to have more in the good to great range than you're going to have in the bad to weak range. And you're going to have some from sites that are way above you, maybe at, a DA of 80 as well. The idea is that you're trying to look for sites that are good or better, and definitely not buy or spend a ton of time outreaching to anything that are in the 0 to 20 range. That's the bottom line. Cool. So anchor text. So I said before, anchor text is the blue link that goes between two sites. So, if you write about blue socks or you're selling blue socks, you may, or the opposite way, sorry, if you have a blog about sock puppets, it's your passion for whatever reason, having a blue link there, buy blue socks to somewhere that sells blue socks, that's going to be considered a backlink to that blue socks website. And your anchor text here is going to be relevant to the situation, right? For example, here, if I'm making sock puppets and, I'm showing you how to make a blue sock puppet that, I don't know, looks like the Cookie Monster or something, buy blue socks, and then me linking to the blue socks website with this anchor text in quotes there, it's relevant to what's on that website. The socks part is relevant to what I'm writing. It's descriptive as to what people are going to be doing there or what people might find over there. And it's keyword targeted towards blue socks, right? So if I was the blue socks site, let's say, so I'm not the sock puppet guy, I'm the blue sock guy. And I've gone and asked for a backlink from somewhere. And I found this blog talking about sock puppets, and they get a lot of rankings for sock puppet things, and they might have a big audience. Maybe there's a lot of enthusiasts out there for that. What we're going to see here is that I would want those guys to link to me in their write-up on, how to make a great Cookie Monster sock puppet for your kids or whatever, where you can buy blue socks, and that's the link, from anywhere or, online or something like that. And it's easy to get them to deliver, blah, blah, blah. So they might write that, the sock puppet guy might write that into his how-to piece, and it's going to link to me with this. And that link text is relevant. It's descriptive of what I might want to rank for, or what people might do or find on my page, buy blue socks. And it's keyword targeted, right? Because obviously I want to rank for buy blue socks. Right. To me, as a blue socks guy, that's targeted to me. It doesn't need to be targeted for the sock puppet guy because it's backlinking to me. But generally, if you're finding somebody who's writing about content that's relevant to linking to you, if they're writing something like this, it's going to be fine. Now, usual anchor text will be things like click here, or, maybe a brand name, and those are all fine too. You can have those. Not everything needs to be overly keyword targeted. And I would definitely caution you against targeting all of your content with every link being super overly descriptive. What you want to do is get some of these in the mix though, right? For every page. If I want to rank this blue sock page, I might have 10 links that say variations of buy blue socks. You can get blue socks here, blue socks online, etc. And then some that'll say click here, or X brand sells socks. You want to vary it. You don't want to have this all similar, because it's easy to tell a pattern here and look like spam as well. So moving on, did I skip one? No, I didn't. Cool. So moving on, we're on a recap now before we get into some more strategies on how to do some link building. Now that you're aware of what the theory is and you understand sort of what to look for and what good is defined as against, bad or what is different between best and good, you're sort of equipped to go out and start talking to people about this sort of stuff, right? So backlinks are links on other sites that go to your website. Don't buy links from these big sources. It'll get you removed from Google. However, some negotiation of price for a link when you manually outreach to people is generally normal, and you need to decide if the price that you're going to be paying for that link is going to be worth it. To give you a little guidance in that, I would say it's very normal to expect that it's going to be in the range of anywhere from like $30 to like $200 sometimes, right? And that's going to be the biggest range for most. Some people are going to want outlandish numbers like $1,000 for links. And in 99% of cases, I would just say go against that. Don't worry about that link and move on. Obviously, you should be paying, if you're going to pay someone to put that up, that content up, put that link for you, the value that you pay for that should be more closely related to how valuable that getting a link on that page and getting a link from that site with a better or best or good DADR is to you. So, you know, I might expect to pay, if I go back here, I might expect to pay $200, say, for a link from a site that's relevant to me that has a DA of 40 or 45 or 50, right? Maybe I'm going to, or 60, you know, I'm going to expect that, but I'm not going to do that if your DA is like 0 or 20 or something to that effect, right? So just keep that in mind. It's not a hard and fast rule, and you'll have to figure this out as you go. But generally, DA and DR and how relevant the page and how much traffic maybe even that page gets, because that's the other benefit of links. You might get just traffic buying from there, right? Not just a link for SEO. So weigh all these things together and make that decision. Quality links are better than the quantity of links. Good links are relevant, have good DA, use good anchor text, and do follow, right? So that's our recap. Moving on, we're going to have a little look at the process here, really, of link building. And then now that you understand what a good link is, you can see that, you know, there's a lot of thought that goes into picking the links that you might want. Now, the process of link building is essentially this, you know, you do your link prospecting where you're going through and you're categorizing websites and you're looking at sites that you may want to get links from, and you're trying to gauge who is worth my time reaching out to as you do this, and you're trying to grab the contact details at the same time. Now, you can do this manually. You know, I find a site, I outreach, and then I find a site, then I outreach. You know, find a site, send an email, find a site, send an email. That's doable. Generally, at a scalable level, though, most people will do this by, you know, getting together 20 or 30 of these, or 50 or 100, and then putting it all in a spreadsheet, and then you outreach them. You keep track of, you know, whether they've responded or not, all that sort of stuff. And there's various different tools that can help you, which is a little bit outside of the scope of this scenario. I would say if you're starting off and this is something that you're looking to do internally, have a separate inbox for it. Have someone whose dedicated job is to do this, whether that's just a couple hours a week, or maybe, you know, hey, an hour or 2 hours a day, I'm gonna do some prospecting, then I'm gonna do some emailing, and then from there I'm managing relationships. Have that happen. I would say that you probably won't need a large scale prospecting tool. You won't need to go into all this. If you are in the situation where you would need to do that, you're probably moving away from having someone whose job isn't SEO to do it, to hiring an agency or hiring someone in-house who knows how to do SEO and who has experience with this already. So link prospecting, the first part, then the outreach, which is pretty self-explanatory, right? You're going to email people and say, hey, I want a link on your website. You're going to use various tactics to do that and various ways to sort of build a relationship and negotiate that link. But that's pretty much what's going to happen. They're either going to say yes or no, we're interested or not. If they say no, then obviously that's a dud. If they say yes, you'll move into the negotiation phase, where generally it's, hey, I want this kind of anchor text. I want it on this page. You know, they're going to give you a price. It could be, you know, $200, it could be $450, and you're going to have to negotiate with them in terms of, all right, well, look, that's too much or too little. Can we do this or that? And then from there, if you say yes and everything goes ahead, you make your payment. You're going to get into basically link review and checking your rankings, right? Now, these two last ones, you know, I've added here because I think it's always important to keep an eye on these things happening. So if they say that yes and they take the money, you want to know that the link goes up and when it goes up. And usually people will let you know, especially if you ask them in that negotiation email to let you know when it's up. But you want to go and check the link and make sure that it's there. And that it's got the text that you want, it's where you wanted it on the page or wherever you negotiated on the page. And then finally, you want to check your rankings. Now, you don't need to check it after every link you get because obviously it's not going to move the needle that hard. But you do want to check them periodically once you've gone through this process a few times. If you're able to secure 20 new links to a piece of content in a month or two, obviously you want to check and say, hey, is this having some effect for us? Can we see some movement for this page that we want? Now, we talked about this before in keywords, but basically every page you look to rank is going to be linked to a main keyword, and that main keyword is going to be what you check in your rankings when you publish that page, and also when after you've done a fair bit of link building, you want to go back and say, hey, let me check that keyword for this page that we're trying to rank. Does it rank? Yes, it's moved up for us. Awesome. We know the process is working. Or hey, it's not working. Okay, do we need to go harder, or do we need to try another tack, or is the content wrong? These sorts of things are considerations you might have. So prospect, outreach, negotiate, review to make sure the link is there, and then give it some time and check your rankings, right? Cool. So next up, link building strategies. So I'm going to give you 3 main ones in this. And some of these actually may break out into separate videos as I did with the keyword, just because these get long. And I want to make sure that you can get to the meat of these faster rather than slower when we actually, when you actually get into doing this. Right now, I'm assuming that this is probably one of your first watch throughs and you really want to sort of understand it all. Once you understand it all, sometimes you're going to need to check back for the process to make sure that you're doing things right. So I'm going to show you brand mentions. I'm going to show you how to steal your competitors' links. And I'm going to show you the Dream 100 strategy. And those 3 strategies, I think, is going to get most of you through what you need to get through in terms of securing some good links for your site, doing a good amount of in-house SEO before hiring someone whose job specifically is SEO, or hiring an agency that is going to help you do that. Or I guess sometimes what this does is let you know how much of work this can be, and maybe this will solidify why you might want to do that, but at least you'll understand some of the process and what goes into that. Cool. So I'm going to end this video here. I'm going to jump into a separate one. Probably this will be 2 separate videos, one for brand mentions and steal your competitors' links, and one for the Dream 100. So I'll see you in the next video.